Have you ever heard something that completely shattered your heart and put it back together at the same time? That's exactly what happened to Michael Thompson on a cold Tuesday night in March 2024 when he stood outside his 6-year-old daughter's bedroom door and heard her having a conversation. But she wasn't talking to an imaginary friend or playing with her toys. She was talking to her late mother's photograph, asking a question so profound that it would change both their lives forever. What she said in that moment revealed a struggle that thousands of children face silently every single day. And the way this father responded teaches us something extraordinary about love, loss, and the human capacity to heal. Michael Thompson, a 34-year-old graphic designer from Manchester, never imagined he would be raising his daughter Emma alone. His wife, Sarah, passed away suddenly from an undetected heart condition when Emma was just 3 years old. For the past 3 years, Michael had been navigating the impossible task of being both mom and dad whilst processing his own grief. He kept Sarah's memory alive through photographs displayed throughout their small terraced house, told Emma stories about her mom before bedtime, and always answered her questions about Sarah with honesty and warmth. Life had settled into a new normal. Cole had reduced his work hours to be present for Emma. They had routines, they had laughter, they had healing. Emma was a bright, curious child who loved drawing, asked a million questions about everything, and had her mother's same sparkling green eyes. To anyone looking from the outside, they seemed to be doing remarkably well considering the circumstances. Michael's mother lived nearby and helped with childcare. Emma had friends at school. The raw, paralyzing grief had softened into something more manageable, a constant ache rather than a screaming pain. But children process grief differently than adults. They don't have the emotional vocabulary or the life experience to understand permanence and loss. Emma had been so young when Sarah died that her memories of her mother were fragmentary, more feelings than actual events. She knew her mom from the stories Michael told, from the videos they watched together, and from the photographs that smiled at her from picture frames around the house. Sarah wasn't an absence to Emma in the way she was to Michael. She was more like a character in a beloved story, someone important in love but not quite real. About 6 months before that fateful night in March, something had shifted in their household dynamic. Michael had developed a friendship with their neighbor, Claire Harrison. Claire was a 32-year-old primary school teacher who had moved into the house next door about a year earlier. She was a widow herself, having lost her husband in a car accident 4 years prior. There was an unspoken understanding between Michael and Claire, the kind that only people who have walked through the valley of grief can share. The friendship had developed naturally and slowly. Claire had initially offered to water their plants when Michael and Emma went on holiday. Then it became occasional cups of tea in the garden whilst Emma played. Claire had a gentle, patient way with Emma that reminded Michael painfully and beautifully of Sarah. She never tried to replace or compete with Sarah's memory. She simply existed as a kind, consistent presence in their lives. Emma adored her. She called her Miss Claire and would run to her front door with drawings and stories from school. Oh, before I tell you what Emma said that night, I need you to understand something crucial about how children's brains process grief. Because what happened next isn't just a touching story, it's actually a window into childhood psychology that every parent needs to understand. So stay with me because this gets really important. Over the months, Michael had noticed Emma's attachment to Claire growing stronger. Claire joined them for Saturday morning pancakes. She came to Emma's school play. She taught Emma how to plant sunflowers in the garden. And whilst Michael was grateful for the support and, if he was honest with himself, had developed feelings for Claire beyond friendship, he started noticing something troubling in Emma's behavior. More withdrawn at bedtimes. She would stare at Sarah's photograph with an expression Michael couldn't quite read. It wasn't sadness exactly. It was something more complicated. Then came that Tuesday night in March. Michael had tucked Emma into bed, read her favorite story about a brave little girl and her adventures, kissed her forehead, and left her nightlight on, as always. He had gone downstairs to finish some work on his laptop. About 30 minutes later, he realized he had left his mobile phone charging in Emma's room. As he climbed the stairs and approached her door, which he had left slightly ajar, he heard her voice, soft, hesitant, but clearly speaking. His first thought was that she was still awake playing, but something about the tone made him pause. Stopped just outside the door, not wanting to interrupt, but concerned. and that's when he heard it clearly. Emma was talking to the framed photograph of Sarah that sat on her bedside table. The one showing Sarah laughing in the garden, her hair catching the sunlight, her smile wide and genuine. Michael's heart clenched as he listened. Emma's small voice carried through the quiet house with devastating clarity.
Mommy, it's me again. I'm 6 now.
Daddy says I look like you. I have your eyes. There was a pause, and Michael could hear the rustle of bedsheets as Emma shifted position. I wanted to ask you something important. It's been making my tummy feel funny. Michael pressed his back against the hallway wall, barely breathing. He knew he should either walk away to give her privacy or go in to comfort her, but he found himself frozen, unable to do either. Emma continued, her voice smaller now, almost a whisper. Daddy has a friend called Miss Claire. She's really nice, Mummy. She makes me laugh and she helps me learn to tie my shoelaces, which is really hard. She makes Daddy smile in a way he doesn't normally smile. It's his special smile. Michael felt tears beginning to form. It thought he was hiding his growing feelings for Claire, but children notice everything. They read emotions in the micro-expressions adults think they are concealing. Emma had seen what he had barely admitted to himself, but what came next was what truly broke him. Mummy, I need to ask you something, and I need you to not be sad or angry with me. Emma's voice cracked slightly, the way children's voices do when they are trying very hard not to cry. Is it okay if I love Miss Claire? Because I think I do love her? She gives really good hugs and she remembers things I tell her, and she never gets cross when I ask too many questions. But here's the thing I'm worried about. There was a longer pause. Michael could hear his daughter breathing, gathering courage. If I love Miss Claire, does that mean I'm forgetting you? Daddy tells me about you all the time, and I love hearing the stories, but I don't actually remember you, Mummy. I try really hard, but I can't. I was too little. That makes me feel really bad already. So if I love Miss Claire, will you think I'm a bad daughter? Will you be sad up in heaven? Michael's vision blurred completely. Tears rolled down his face silently as he stood in the darkened hallway, his hand pressed against his mouth to prevent any sound escaping. His daughter had been carrying this weight, this impossible moral dilemma, inside her 6-year-old heart, and he had had no idea. She'd been trying to navigate loyalty and love and loss and permission, all without the words to express what she was feeling. Emma wasn't finished. Miss Claire's husband died too. She told me about him. His name was James, and he liked football, so she understands about missing people. Sometimes I see her looking sad when she thinks no one is watching, the same way Daddy looks sometimes. I think maybe we could all help each other not be so sad, but I don't know if that's allowed. The innocence and wisdom intertwined in those words were almost too much to bear. Here was a child trying to make sense of the complexities of grief, of moving forward whilst honoring the past, expanding her capacity for love without betraying memory. These were questions that adults with decades of life experience struggled with. Emma was 6. I drew a picture at school today, Emma continued in a lighter tone, clearly trying to cheer up the photograph, trying to cheer up her mother who could not respond. It was supposed to be my family. I drew me and Daddy like always. But then I didn't know what to do, because you're part of my family, but you're in heaven, and Miss Claire isn't family, but she feels like family. So I drew you as an angel above us, with wings and a halo like in the stories. And I drew Miss Claire next to Daddy holding his hand. I drew myself in the middle holding everyone's hands. Michael's chest tightened. He pictured that drawing, the way Emma had tried to create space for everyone in her heart and on the paper. The way she had found a visual solution to an emotional puzzle. My teacher, Mrs. Roberts, said it was beautiful. She asked me about it, and I told her about you being an angel and about Miss Claire being Daddy's special friend. She got a bit teary. Teachers cry sometimes, I've noticed. Then came the words that would echo in Michael's mind for the rest of his life. So, Mummy, here's what I think. I think love is like my toy box. When I get a new toy, it doesn't mean I don't love my old toys anymore. There's room for all of them. Maybe hearts are like that too. Maybe I can love you and love Miss Claire, and there's room for both. Maybe loving Miss Claire doesn't mean forgetting you. It just means my heart is getting bigger. The theological and psychological sophistication of this statement from a 6-year-old was staggering. Without knowing it, Emma had articulated what grief therapists spend years trying to help people understand. Love is not a finite resource. Forming new attachments does not diminish existing bonds. The heart's capacity expands rather than divides. But I need you to tell me it's okay, Mummy, Emma said, her voice breaking now, The tears finally coming? I need permission. Can you send me a sign? Can you let me know you're not angry? Because I love you so much even though I can't remember you. Daddy's stories make me love you. I don't want you to think I'm replacing you because nobody could ever replace you. You're my actual real mummy. But Miss Claire could maybe be like an extra person who helps take care of me. Is that all right? Michael could not stand in the hallway any longer. The sound of his daughter crying softly. Seeking permission from a photograph to move forward with her life, to accept love and give love without guilt, was more than he could bear. He pushed the door open gently and stepped into the room. Emma looked up, startled, her face streaked with tears, her small hand still clutching the photograph frame to her chest. "Oh, sweetheart," Michael said, his own voice thick with emotion. He crossed the room in 2 strides and sat on the edge of her bed, pulling her into his arms. Emma buried her face in his chest and sobbed properly now, the kind of deep, releasing cry that comes when you have been holding something painful inside for too long. Michael held her, rocking slightly, his own tears falling into her blonde hair. They stayed like that for several minutes, father and daughter, both grieving, both loving, both trying to find a way forward together. When Emma's sobs finally subsided into hiccups and sniffles, Michael gently pulled back so he could see her face. He brushed her hair from her forehead, the same gesture Sarah used to make, the same gesture he had unconsciously adopted. "Emma, my darling girl, I heard what you said to Mummy's picture," Michael began softly. Emma's eyes went wide with worry, but he quickly continued. "And I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you, all right? This is important." Emma nodded, her green eyes fixed on his face. "Your mummy loved you more than anything in the entire world. And I absolutely know, that if she could send you a message right now, she would tell you that your heart is exactly right." Emma's lower lip trembled. "Really?" she whispered. "You think she's not angry?" Michael shook his head firmly. "It's not even a little bit angry? Not even a tiny fraction angry. Do you know what I think she would say?" Emma shook her head. Michael took a deep breath, channeling Sarah, trying to speak the words he knew she would have said if she could. "I think Mummy would say that love is exactly like your toy box, just like you said. I think she would tell you that you are one of the smartest, kindest, most wonderful 6-year-old girls in the world for figuring that out. I think she would say that loving Miss Claire doesn't mean you love her any less. I think she would tell you that she wants you to have as many people loving you and caring for you as possible, because that means you will be safe and happy." Emma was listening intently, absorbing every word like water into dry soil. "I think Mummy would tell you that she is so proud of you for being brave enough to open your heart even when it feels scary. And I think she would say that remembering her isn't about having memories from when you were tiny. It's about carrying her love inside you, about knowing her through the stories. It's about seeing her in the mirror when you look at your own eyes." Michael paused, gathering his thoughts, wanting to get this exactly right. This was one of those pivotal parenting moments that he knew would stay with Emma forever. The words he chose now would shape how she understood love and loss for the rest of her life. "Here's something really important, Emma. When someone we love dies, they don't stop being part of our family. Mummy will always be your mom. Always. Nobody can ever change that or take that away. But families can grow. Love can expand. And the people who love us want us to be happy and loved by as many good people as possible. So it's okay that I love Miss Claire?" Emma asked in a small voice. "It's more than okay," Michael assured her. "It's beautiful. It's healthy. It's exactly what you should be doing. Your heart is working perfectly." Emma seemed to physically relax, her shoulders dropping, some of the tension leaving her small body. "What about you, Daddy?" she asked, with the perceptiveness that constantly surprised him. "Do you love Miss Claire?" Michael had not expected the conversation to turn this direction, but he had always promised himself he would be honest with Emma about the important things. "I think I might be starting to," he admitted carefully. "She's a very special person, but I want you to know that my feelings are separate from yours. You don't have to love Miss Claire just because I do, and I don't want you to worry about me. This is about what you feel and what you need." Emma considered this seriously. "I think it would be nice if we both loved her," she said finally. "Then we could all be together sometimes, like a new kind of family. With Mummy still part of it, but in a different way." The wisdom in her words was profound. "That's exactly right," Michael said. "Mummy will always be part of our family. Her love for us doesn't end. But we can also make space for new love. Both things can be true at the same time. Miss Claire understands about missing people, Emma said, repeating what she had told the photograph. She won't try to make me forget, Mummy. Michael nodded. No, she won't. And anyone who truly cares about us will understand that Mummy is an important part of our story. The right people will honor that, not try to erase it. Emma was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she looked up at her father with an expression of hope mixed with residual worry. Daddy, do you think Mummy sent me a sign? 'Cause I asked her for one? Michael looked at the photograph of Sarah, then back at his daughter. I think I walked in just now when you needed to talk about this. I think that might have been your sign. I think Mummy knew you needed to hear these words, and she made sure I was in the right place at the right time to tell you. Emma seemed satisfied with this interpretation. Children need concrete answers to abstract questions, and this gave her something tangible to hold on to. Can I tell you something else, Daddy? She asked quietly. You can tell me anything always, Michael promised. Sometimes I feel bad because I can't miss Mummy the way you do. You have real memories. I just have stories and pictures. Does that make me a bad person? Michael's heart broke all over again. Here was the core wound, the central grief that Emma had been carrying. She felt guilty for not remembering, for not missing someone in the way she thought she should. Oh, Emma, no. Absolutely not. Listen to me very carefully. You were 3 when Mummy died. Your brain was still growing and developing. The fact that you don't have clear memories is not your fault. It's just how human memory works. Babies and very young children don't form the same kind of lasting memories that older children and adults do. He shifted positions so they were sitting side by side on the bed, both looking at Sarah's photograph. But here's what you do have. You have Mummy's kindness. I see it every day when you share your toys or help your friends. You have her curiosity. She asked a million questions just like you do. You have her laugh. Did you know that? Sometimes when you really giggle, you sound exactly like her. You have her sense of right and wrong. And you have her love, because the love she gave you in those first 3 years is still inside you. It's part of who you are. Emma leaned her head against his shoulder, so I'm carrying her love inside me, like a superpower. Michael smiled through his tears. Exactly like a superpower. And nobody can take that away from you. Not time, not distance, not even death. That love is permanent. It's in your DNA. It's in your heart. It's in the way you move through the world. They sat together in comfortable silence for a few moments. Then Emma asked, What should we do about Miss Claire? It was a practical question the kind children ask when they have processed the emotional content and are ready to move to action steps. Well, Michael said carefully, first, we don't need to rush anything. Second, this would need to be something all of us talk about together if we decide to change our relationship from friendship to something more. And third, the most important thing is that you feel safe and happy. You get a say in how our family grows? Emma nodded seriously, understanding that she was being given real power in the decision, not just token consultation. I think I would like to talk to Miss Claire about it, she said. I want to ask her if she thinks there's room in her heart for both me and her husband James who died. Because if she says yes, then I'll know she understands how it works. The parallel thinking was stunning. Emma was seeking confirmation that Claire operated on the same understanding of love's expansive capacity. I think that's a really smart idea, Michael said. How about this? Why don't we invite Miss Claire for Sunday lunch like we normally do, and we can have a proper conversation together? All 3 of us. We can talk about feelings and family and what might happen next. No secrets, no assumptions. Just honest conversation. Emma brightened at this plan. Can we have the special macaroni cheese she taught us to make? Even in serious moments? 6-year-olds remember what matters? Absolutely we can, Michael laughed. They tucked Sarah's photograph back onto the bedside table, positioning it carefully so she seemed to be looking at them.
Ah!
Emma kissed her fingers and pressed them to the glass over her mother's face, a gesture she had developed on her own.
Good night, Mummy. Thank you for the sign.
I love you forever and always. Michael added his own good night, something he did less frequently these days, but felt necessary tonight. Good night, Sarah. Thank you for this extraordinary daughter. We're going to be okay. As Michael tucked Emma back under her covers, she grabbed his hand. Daddy, I'm glad you heard me talking. I was feeling really alone with those big feelings. They were too heavy to carry by myself. This statement revealed so much about her internal experience. He had been suffering in isolation, believing she had to solve this moral puzzle alone. You never have to carry big feelings by yourself, Michael told her firmly. That's what I'm here for. That's what family is for. Anytime you have feelings that are too big or too confusing or too scary, you come to me. Promise? Promise, Emma agreed. Even if it's the middle of the night. Especially if it's the middle of the night, Michael confirmed. There is no wrong time to need your dad. Emma smiled, her face finally peaceful. I think I can sleep now. My tummy doesn't feel funny anymore. Michael kissed her forehead and stood to leave. Sweet dreams, my brave girl. Daddy, Emma called as he reached the door. Thank you for saying Mummy would be proud of me. That's what I needed to hear most. Michael swallowed hard against the lump in his throat. She would be incredibly proud. So am I. You handled a really difficult situation with so much maturity and kindness. He pulled the door to its usual slightly open position and went downstairs on shaking legs. Once in the kitchen, Michael sat down heavily at the table and allowed himself to properly cry. These were not just tears of sadness, but of pride, relief, love, and grief all tangled together. His daughter was growing up. She was navigating impossible emotional terrain with grace. She was learning to honor the past whilst remaining open to the future. She was becoming the kind of person Sarah would have been so proud of. The following Sunday arrived with the kind of bright spring sunshine that makes everything feel possible. Michael had called Claire midweek and explained in general terms that Emma wanted to talk with her about something important. Claire had been characteristically understanding, asking no prying questions, simply agreeing to come for lunch and whatever conversation Emma needed to have. As Claire arrived at their door with a bunch of tulips and her signature warm smile, Michael saw her through Emma's eyes. She was kind, patient, genuinely interested in Emma's chatter about school and her latest drawings. She treated Emma as a whole person, not just a child to be managed. And yes, she made Michael smile in a way he had not smiled since Sarah died. It's not a replacement smile, but a new kind of smile. One that contained hope. Over lunch, Emma was unusually quiet, pushing macaroni around her plate, clearly working up to something. Claire noticed as she always did. Ma, you seem like you have something on your mind. Would you like to talk about it? Emma nodded seriously. She looked at Michael, who gave her an encouraging nod, then back at Claire. Miss Claire, I need to ask you something important about love, and families, and people who died. Claire set down her fork and gave Emma her complete attention. I'm listening, sweetheart. You can ask me anything. Emma took a deep breath. Your husband James died. You loved him very much. So here's my question. If you started to love someone new, would that mean you stopped loving James? Can both be true at the same time? The directness of the question from a 6-year-old clearly took Claire by surprise, but she recovered quickly. Her eyes became bright with unshed tears, but she answered honestly. That's a very important question, Emma, and I think you already know the answer, but I'll tell you what I believe. I will always love James. He was my husband, and he was a wonderful person. His death doesn't end that love. But I've learned that the heart doesn't run out of room. Loving someone new doesn't mean loving James less. It means my heart has made space for something new whilst keeping everything I felt for James safe inside. Emma absorbed this carefully. So it's like a house with lots of rooms. James has his room, and it's always his, but there can be other rooms too. Claire smiled through her tears. That's a perfect way to describe it. Exactly like that. Emma nodded, satisfied. Then she asked the follow-up question. Would James be angry if you loved someone new? Would he think you were forgetting him? Claire's voice was soft but certain. I don't think so. I think James would want me to be happy. I think he would want me to have love in my life. People who truly love us don't want us to be lonely or sad forever. They want us to live fully, even when they can't be here with us. This was clearly the answer Emma had been hoping for. That's what I thought too, she said. That's what I told my mummy. Claire's eyes widened slightly as she began to understand the deeper current of this conversation. She looked at Michael, who nodded slightly, encouraging Emma to continue. I talk to my mummy's picture sometimes, Emma explained. I don't remember her because I was too little, but Daddy tells me about her and I love her. But I was worried because I love you, Miss Claire. You're kind, and you make me laugh, and you're good at explaining things. And I was scared that if I loved you, Mummy would be sad or angry. Claire's hand went to her mouth, her eyes brimming over now. Emma, she breathed. But then I talked to Daddy and I talked to Mummy's picture and I figured it out. Emma continued with the confidence of someone who has worked through a difficult problem. Love isn't a competition. There's room for everyone. I can love my mummy and love you, and both are real and both are important. My heart is like my toy box. It just gets bigger when there's more to love. Claire was openly crying now, but smiling through the tears. She reached across the table and took Emma's small hand in hers. You are one of the wisest people I have ever met. Do you know that? And I'm so honored that you love me. I love you too very much, Emma beamed. So here's the thing, she said, getting to the heart of the matter with characteristic directness. I think Daddy loves you too, and I think you maybe love him. And I wanted you both to know that I think it would be okay if we all loved each other. Like a family. A new kind of family. With my mummy still being part of it in our hearts, and James being part of it in your heart, but with us together in real life, the silence that followed was profound. Claire looked at Michael with an expression of astonishment, love, and question. Michael, who had not quite planned for his daughter to orchestrate this conversation quite so boldly, found himself laughing despite the emotional intensity. Well, he said, I think Emma has decided that subtlety is overrated. Claire laughed too, the tension breaking into something lighter, more hopeful. I think Emma is right about a lot of things, she said, looking at Michael with unmistakable affection. And yes, I do love you both. I have for a while now. But I didn't want to presume or rush or do anything that might hurt either of you, Michael. Reached across the table and took her free hand, so the three of them were connected in a triangle of joined hands. I love you too, he said simply. And I think Sarah would approve. I think she would want Emma to have as much love in her life as possible. I think she would want me to be happy. And I know she would appreciate that you understand Emma comes first, always. Claire nodded. Always, and I would never try to replace Sarah. I can't, and I wouldn't want to. But maybe I can be something new, something additional. Emma, watching this exchange with satisfaction, added her final piece of wisdom. I drew a picture of us as a family, with Mummy as an angel watching over us, 'cause that's what we are now. A family that includes people who are here and people who are in our hearts, and that's okay. Different doesn't mean wrong. It just means our family is special. And with that, a new chapter began for all of them. Not erasing the past, not forgetting those they had lost, but making space for new love whilst honoring old bonds. Emma had taught the adults around her what therapists and grief counselors spend careers trying to communicate. Love expands. Hearts grow. Families can be built on foundations of loss and still be whole. And sometimes the wisest teachers are 6 years old, with blonde hair and their mother's green eyes. So I want to ask you something, and please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to navigate loving someone new whilst honoring someone from your past? How did you handle it? Or maybe you're a parent who has had to help a child process grief in new relationships. What did you learn? And here's the big question. Do you think Emma was right? Is love like a toy box that just gets bigger? Or does opening your heart to new people require letting go of the old? I genuinely want to hear your perspective because these questions don't have simple answers. They're different for everyone. Share your story in the comments. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.